What should we do first? God, open our minds, open our hearts, and open our souls so that we might see what you have for us today. We might pass that on to others. Amen. Anybody got any questions? Once again, I don't expect anybody to find anything new. It's designed really just like, that's God, what do you want me to do here with these new guys? I was losing so many. Not to be quoted. All we do is read the book, ain't it? I don't give you no new words, no new phrases. I was going to print up some worksheets, but then I realized it was all here in this book. I'm going to save myself some time and money. It was a joke. It's all right here. If we did print up worksheets, then no one would read the in-between parts that's so necessary to read. It's necessary that you read every word because it all makes sense somehow. It all keys and puts in. Where's Tony? Tony, pop quiz. What's the best way to lose weight? Duct tape. Duct tape. Duct tape. Put the duct tape over your mouth. Don't take it off in between meals, right? Right. So the best way to lose weight is not to eat. Now, anybody here disagree with that? No one will disagree with that. But knowing that we're human, does anybody say that that's possible or easy? No. No. So if I say to this guy, you're an alcoholic? Well, just don't drink. It will work. That will work. But is it possible? Or is it because we're human? And particularly if he was epileptic and he's on the floor having a seizure, and I went over and said, I'll handle this. Just don't have a seizure. Stop. Does that make sense? Not at all, does it? Because he has a sickness, an illness, a malady. And if I have alcoholism, as we've known, in a sickness, an illness, a malady, then the directions of prescription that is in this book is what we follow. And that's all we follow. Does that make sense? Nothing new. Nothing new. We finished up fourth step last time. Fourth step. Anybody got any questions on the fourth step? Anybody come up with anything I might have missed? Because I missed a lot. Let's go to Inaction, chapter 5. Now we're just going to do directions. Please read everything. Read everything. But the directions are simple. There's just not that many of them. There's not that long of them. They're not that hard. One thing here that here's the question is often answered. How long after you do a fourth step do you do a fifth step? How long after you do a fourth step do you do a fifth step? Or should you wait a year? I mean, all of this stuff has been bantered around. Here's what it says here. It says, we'll be more reconciled to discuss ourselves with another person when we see good reasons why we should. The best reason first. If we skip this vital step, you're going to drink. That's good enough reason. What do you think? Is that good enough? Is that quick enough? Right into it. It's what it says in this book. And the funny part about this book is they never give you, and here's the second reason. They never say in the second reason, now, that's enough for me as far as I can see. So the directions for the fifth step, there are two fifth steps. There are two fifth steps in this book. There are two fifth steps. Always remember that. There's two fifth steps. Nothing, huh? Okay. All right. We need the second one. We're going to do the second one. We're going to do them both. I wouldn't leave you hanging with a dumb statement like that. Bottom of the page is 73. Here's the direction. We must be entirely honest with someone if we expect to live long and happily in this world. We must. That's almost an order. Here's the directions for the new man. This is the man working this fifth step. Rightly and naturally, we want to think. The new man. Where's my new man? My Iowa girl. We want you to naturally think well before choosing a person. Whose choice is this? That's right, it's your choice. You pick whoever you want. My job as the 12-step guy, making the 12-step, is to offer to do a fifth step with you. We read that last time. It's my job to offer to do that with you, but you do the final choosing. We want you to, those who belong to a religious denomination, now they're going to cover some areas here. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. If you do, that requires a confession, then go to these people, properly appointed authorities. Though we have no religious connection, we must want to talk to someone ordained in established religion. So if you're not established in a religion, they're saying simply that you can still go to these people. See, they're just clearing a path to remove any doubt or discussion about what should I do. The important thing is that you do it. You got to pick the person. And then it's the next line says, if we cannot or would not rather do this, we search our acquaintances for a closed-mouth, understanding friend. So if I'm going to pick somebody to do a fifth step, here's my new girl, going to pick somebody to do a fifth step, you want that person to be closed-mouth and understanding. That's the directions that we should have. I like that guy. He's popular. Well, that's not a requirement here. I mean, if that's what you choose to do, it's always your choice. But closed-mouth and understanding friend. Perhaps a doctor, a psychologist would be a person. One of your own family. They're giving you all of these things to pick from. But we won't disclose anything, and this is a very important thing. We won't disclose anything to our wives which will hurt them and make them unhappy. We have no right to save our skins at another person's expense. Such parts of our stories we tell to someone who will understand yet be unaffected. And this is a rule. We must be hard on ourselves and easy on others, considerate of others. So if I'm going to do a fifth step and you want to do it with your husband. But there's some things you don't want him to know. So you can tell him the whole fifth step except the part that's going to hurt him. Then you can tell her the rest of it. Make sense? That's what it says here. Notwithstanding the great necessity for discussing ourselves with someone, it may be so situated that there is no suitable person available. If that is so, you can postpone this step. Only, however, if you hold yourself in complete readiness to go through with it at first opportunity. We are looking for the opportunity. We say this because we are very anxious to talk to the right person. You are picking the right person. I can't find that guy I want. He's off somewhere on a stupid cruise in the Caribbean. I'll just do it with a neighbor. I'll do it with my brother-in-law, that Big Mama. It is important that he be able, now listen to this. Listen to this. It is important that he be able to keep a confidence, that he fully understand or approve of what you are driving at, that he will not try to change your plans. But we must not use this as a mere excuse to postpone. No excuses. When we decided to hear our story, we waste no time. We have a written inventory, which we talked about, we've already done. We're prepared for a long talk. And I'm going to explain this to this person. I'm going to sit down with you. You go to a priest. A lot of guys I work with in my neighborhood are Catholic. They go to the priest in confessional. Confession's from 4 to 5. Do you want to do fifth step? He won't talk to me. You got to make an appointment. You got to be ready for a long talk. You can't walk in there and try to monopolize them for 3 hours. You understand? That's what they're saying is over here. So we're written everywhere. We explain the part where we're trying to do what we have to do. We should realize we're engaged upon a life and death errand. Most people approached in this way will be glad to help, and they will be honored by our confidence. Now, if you're a new guy, who are you going to look for? Someone who's a closed mouth, understanding a friend, fully approves of what you're trying to do, able to keep a confidence. The second fifth step is if you're hearing it. The second fifth step is if you're hearing the fifth step, you must be closed mouth, you must be understanding, you must be able to keep a confidence, and you must not try to change their plans. That's the other fifth step. They're telling you what's required of you to pick somebody, and that same requirement is for us to be that person. Does that make sense? Absolutely. And your job as alcoholics, as we read in that 12th step, is to offer to do this. Offer to do this. Any questions? Any questions? No.
When you're the person hearing this step, I've heard every story from some woman who's listening to a good step and pruning her rose bushes to the person was, interrupting every 5 seconds.
Yes.
In your opinion, there should be what response is there? What response should we be?
Let me give you first thing. If you get opinion from me, it's because I let my guard down. Because I keep on guard from opening my mouth and telling you what I think. That's the first thing. The second thing is this, is that if I have a person who wants to talk to me. I don't care what they say. I will guide every person and direct every person through this fifth step. Well, okay, but how did that affect you? Okay, but what was your part in that? Did you write that down? Did you tag that? Can you see where boy, a lot of I will guide them through that. I have, without exaggeration, done more than one fifth step that went 3 days long. Time off to go to work, time off to sleep, and then pick it right back up. Because I felt, not my opinion, but I felt that whatever they got to say, I would rather that they got it out of the way than walked out of the house with it. Now that's just that's how I do it. It says prepared for a long talk. They don't give you no time limit. Okay?
But you paid attention. In other words, I've heard everything from when I started listening to the lesson.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
There ought to be some paid.
Well, it's mostly listening. That's what we do, is to listen to their story. It's what we've read. They are prepared for a long talk. We are prepared for a long listen. I did a fifth step with a Dago. Me and him sat down in my basement, and we both fell asleep. That's the God. We started talking, and I started, and then he started, and next thing you know, we were both snoring. That's all I can say. But we went back to it again, when we woke up. Okay. Any questions? Did I miss anything? No? Okay. Here's what it says. Well, there is something that's not directions, but it's very important, and I don't feel well, so I'm kind of trying to say I'm going to try to stay on top of this. It says this: you tell someone else all your life story, not just what's written on that paper. All is squiggly writing. Okay, very important, very important. You must be entirely honest with somebody. If we try to avoid, now this here. The best reason first, but if we try to avoid this humbling experience, so what we're doing is humbling ourselves, getting rid of ourselves. This is where recovery starts. Having persevered through the rest of the program, we felt we couldn't conclude with ourselves for some of the reason. We only thought we got rid of our egoism and fear. We only thought we'd humbled ourselves, but we had not learned enough humility, fearlessness, and honesty. And that's the results of a fifth step. Fearlessness, humility, and honesty. It's not a direction, but that's what you're going to get. It's a byproduct. It's a byproduct. How do you get humble? Do a fifth step. How do you get honest? Do a fifth step. What about, what was the other one? Fear, egoism, lost. Very important key words, because these are going to be the payoff, if you will. It's going to be the payoff. It's where the payoff begins. Change starts right here. We pocket our pride and go to it, and here's what we're going to go to. We're going to illuminate every twist of character and every dark cranny of the past, and that's where your answer comes in, is that it's not just what's written on that piece of paper. It's all their life story and every twist of character and dark cranny of the past. All of it. I just can't tell you what to do except to be closed-mouthed and patient and loving. But I know this, that if we learn to do that, who's the winner? Who wins? Everybody. Everybody wins. I get more patient. I get more loving, more understanding, more caring, and they get the same thing too. And when they start doing fifth steps, they got something then, don't they? They will set an example. Well, how often should you do a fifth step? Not an unusual question. I think that later on in the book it's going to give you a daily program to do this on a daily program. I was on a boat over here, and I went to my roommate and I said, "Bidee-bidam." I told him right away how I felt, what it was. Boom, right away. I'm on a yacht here. I'm on a cruise. Is it impossible? It's got to be impossible to be dishonest or frightened on a cruise, isn't it? Well, I think it's very possible. I think it's... But I grabbed my roommate and said, bidding, 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 and I told the story. Because that's what your test says we should do. Now, you can call that a 5th step if you want to, 10th step if you want to. I don't care what it is, but my directions later on, now we're going to get to these directions today, my directions later on say this is what I'm supposed to do.
What if somebody that you're sponsoring has said things to you when they were drunk or loaded or whatever, then comes to talk to the 5th step, and none of this stuff that they have said to you that is really part of their 5th step comes up on the 5th step? Should you mention that to them? Should you let it glide? Because to me it's an incomplete 5th step. I mean, and she hasn't gone back out more than once.
Well, once again, our job is to listen, but our job is also to be helpful. And if we can develop, this is a tough thing, if we can develop a way to communicate to people without being brash, without being rude, without being insulting, you know what, you're a liar. Oh, well, I'll do another 5th step with you, pal. You know what? Hey, didn't you tell me once? See, it means it's the same thing. The goal is the same. Is that we're using a softer, gentle approach. Love and tolerance is what we're looking for in other people, not demanding honesty. I mean, how would you feel if someone confronted you when you were doing your 5th step? Everything might be true, but all we're doing is trying to get in touch with God. So the humility that we gain is more important than the absolute right down to the gritty. You better be perfect in what you're doing here. And I know for a fact that I don't know. Our whole path to God is inside. It's inside. And if we don't get to this God, then we're alone in this sea of alcoholism. You know, from the captains to the steerage, we will rejoice. As they go, like in a shipwreck. Ooh. So the point being is that if this is what they see and this is what they know, when they recall this, they have a procedure they'll use to clean this up. They'll have a procedure. I forgot all about that. I mean, I can't even tell you stories that, I forgot all about that. I didn't remember even doing that. And that's why we have a program that allows us to continue on growing. It's a never-ending process. And not just cleaning up what we do today, but whatever needs to be cleaned up. Whatever needs to be cleaned. I don't think I've done a thorough 4th step yet. So I'm going to wait a while until I feel that I've written down everything. Move on! Come on! We'll never get there. We'll never get to the perfect 4th step. We'll never get to the perfect 5th step. That's why we have so many triggers later on. What do they call them? Releases in the future. This 10th step, 11th step, 9th step. We learn all these procedures, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Every twist a corner. Did I answer your question? Okay.
You know, Milt,
yeah.
Most of the stuff that was beneficial for me on my 5th step never even showed up on the 4th step.
Yeah. That's why the listening is so important on our part, because you never know what's going to come out of their mouth. Neither do they. But the fact that you're there, it's like writing a 4th step. I got 3 people on my list, and that's all. And I'm going to put them down, and then I'm going to remember that this one. Oh, that's right. This one over here was related, and that one's. Pretty soon you got 75. I mean, you know, it's just. We increase, our faith increases with every word we write in a 4th step. Our new people. Our faith increases every time we do a 10th and 11th step for old fogies like you. We can look them, insult them left and right. We can look them in the eye. We can be alone. No directions here. There's no directions here. Once we've taken the step withholding nothing, that's our directions, is to withhold nothing, we are delighted. Now there's like, now this is not a direction we can look them in the eye. We're not going to do that. We may have certain spiritual beliefs. We're not going to read a spiritual experience. We're not going to, but please read that. Okay? Please read that. It's all very important. Now here's a direction. We think after we fill our broad highway universe, returning home, we find a place where we can be quiet for an hour. And what we're going to do in that hour is we're going to carefully review what we have done. Carefully review. Let's see, what have I done? I wrote this down. I put this down. I really want God to run my life. I really mean it. I'm not so sure. I don't know whatever the case is. We're going to thank God from the bottom of our heart that we know Him better. We're going to thank God from the bottom. Thank God, I thank you because I know you better. I'm going to take this book down from the shelf. I'm going to turn. Now, if the book ain't on the shelf, you don't have to put it on the shelf. If you're in a halfway house, you don't have to wait to finish the step to get home. You can do it right there in a room. I mean, it gets funny sometimes, but I would rather have a guy do that than say, I just ain't going to do that. That's not it's not important. I'm going to take this book down from the shelf, turn the page. It contains the 12 steps. Carefully reading the first 5 proposals. Now, as we read this, we are going to ask ourselves if we have omitted anything. You're going to ask yourself, let's say, have I left anything out? Do I really believe that I'm powerful? Do I really believe that I need God? Do I really have turned my will? You're going to ask yourself these questions. Have you omitted anything? Are you building an archway through which we shall pass the free men? 3rd step. We started that archway in the 3rd step. We're passing through it now. We're building that archway. The keystone, of course, is the power of God. Here's the Italian section of the book. Is our work solid so far? We skimped on the stones. Are they properly in place? We skimped on the cement and the foundation. We try to make mortar without... It's an ethnic joke. Italians in my neighborhood build cement. When you're a contractor, call Fabrizi. You want somebody to do brickwork, you call Donatelli. You want something stolen, you call a Polak. We have categories. So this was a category thing. Okay. So we're asking ourselves a couple of simple questions here because we're walking through the free man. We're going to be free. Are our stones properly in place? Have we skimped on the mortar of the foundation? This is our foundation. That's what it says. We're building a foundation right here. And on top of this foundation is going to go 9, 10, 11, and 12. On top of this, we're still building our foundation. And we tried to make mortar without sin. If we can answer to satisfaction, then we're at step 6. Now, step 5 is a simple matter of talking and a few questions. But the important part about step 5 for you is that you are able to pick someone that you trust who's closed mouth and understanding. And if you just tell all your life story, you will get humility. You will get honesty. You will get rid of the flaws and the ego and the lies and the unselfishness. That's what it says. It's not a goal, but it's a byproduct of doing this. Our job is to pick the person. Our job is to be entirely honest and tell our whole life story. Our job is to ask ourselves, have we skipped all our stones in place and that we do the right thing? Does that make sense? Our job being the new guy job. New guy job. Okay. And if I read these directions to the new guy, if I read these directions with the new guy, okay, I want to do 5th step. I say, okay, let's open up the book and see what it says. So that if he doesn't get the feeling of elation, yay! I always say, yeah, but see, you're following the directions, you're going to get the results. You're following the directions, you're going to get the results. No matter what, know that in your intelligent mind, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do according to the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Questions? Step 6. If you can answer it to satisfaction, we'll look at step 6. Step 6 is this. They said, and step 6 is, we have emphasized willingness to be indispensable. Are you now ready? Simple question to yourself. Are you now ready to let God remove from you all the things which you have admitted are objectionable? We have lists of things. The things that they affected, how they affected us, the things that we affected them, the things we did to them, our fears, our sexual conduct, all of these things that we find objectionable. Are you now willing? Are you now ready to let God remove these things? And can He take them, every one? But if you still want to cling on to some of these things and will not let go, you can ask God to help you be willing. He can help you be willing. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm not so sure that I can even live in business if I don't cheat them. If I'm not dishonest, I'm not sure I can. Well, let's ask God. Let's ask God to help you want to get rid of these things. It's got to help you be willing to let go of Mamie, or Susie, or Johnny, or Joe. And that's all the 6 is: become willing. That's the end of it as we go. Any questions? 7. When ready, we say this something like this. Now, they give you a prayer, but it can be something like this. My Creator said, they call it 7-step prayer. I'm now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defective character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. Amen. And what we're doing here is that all of these things that we have found we don't want, that have caused us trouble, that have caused us failure, that have hurt other people, we are now asking God to get rid of them. Get rid of them. And if we could get rid of these things on our own, would we even need God? Not at all. Not at all. Step 8. Let's look at step 8 and 9. Here's what it says. I'm on page 76. I'm sorry. Here's what it says. Let's look at 8 and 9. We have a list of all persons we have harmed and whom we're willing to make amends. We made them when we took inventory. That means that this 4th step now, again, is going to be used. We subjected ourselves to a drastic self-appraisal. Now, as far as I can see, this is about the vaguest part of the big book that I found. It's just because I'm sure that everybody here, by the time they have got here to this point, have said, yeah, but there's a lot of things that I did that I didn't have resentment for, I didn't have fear over, or I didn't harm with any kind of thing, but I know that I got to owe these people or pay these people or whatever the case might be. And I believe, once again, as best as I can determine, that when we subject ourselves to a drastic self-appraisal is where we add these things. That's as close as I can come to that, because it seems like everybody has these. I had them. Everybody I've ever met had them. That when they're going nice, yeah, but what about this? I didn't have this in my, wasn't afraid of the guy, and I didn't have resentment. Well, then when we subject ourselves to this drastic self-appraisal in step 8, I believe this is where they add it now. But I don't know what else to say. Now we're ready to go out to our fellows and repair the damage that we have done. If you haven't the will to do this, ask until it comes. Because remember, you agreed, and it's squiggly writing here, that from the very beginning you will go to any lengths to overcome alcoholism. Now, we made that deal. We said we wanted to do that before we ever started working these steps, ain't it? That was on page 62 or something. And do you want what we have and are ready to go to any lengths to get it? You said yes. You said yes. Still mean it? Okay, then let's go out and make these fellows straighten out. Now let's understand something. Step 9 and step 12 have to cover a massive multitude of situations. Does that make sense? That means that they are going to attempt to cover every situation that an amends needs to be made. If you're divorced, they got a situation there. If you got a warrant for your arrest, they got a situation there. Maybe you've never been divorced. Maybe you've never been married. Maybe you've never been arrested. But they try to give you, maybe you've never discredited anybody, but they try to give you a direct solution to that amends, a set of directions to that amends. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? They come out right. Fred, help me out. Yeah? Okay. So to try to follow every one of these would take days to try to get into great detail on one of these. So just know this, that if you have an amend to make, there is the direction to do that. Find that particular area. If you've never been divorced, then you don't read. Of course, read it, but then that's the place to read. I gotta do this. I got to do this, and I don't have to do that, and I ain't going to do this, and I got to do that. And they're going to give you everything that you need to know in that book. But there are certain. I'm sorry, I'm very thick in the head today, more than usual. There are certain procedures that work in every amends. Did that come out right? There are certain things that will apply in every amend. Okay. And And some of these procedures is this. As we look at the list of business acquaintances and friends we have hurt, we may feel diffident about going to some of them on a spiritual basis. We're going to feel like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I don't want to talk about God. Let it be reassured. To some people we need not and probably should not emphasize the spiritual feature on our first approach. Why? Because we might prejudice them. We're on page 77. At the moment, we're trying to put our lives in order. That's what we're trying to do at this moment. But this is not an end to itself. There's more to it. Our real purpose is to fit ourselves to be a maximum service to God and the people around us. It is seldom wise, the specific direction that we use in every amends. It is seldom wise to approach an individual who still smarts from our injustice to him and announce that we have gone religious. I got God. Tambourine. Got the thing. Got the deal. What about the $20? I don't want to talk about that. I just got God. That's all there is to it. So they're telling you that we don't want to prejudice them. We don't want to shut anybody out. Our job in even making these amends is to open the door to be of service to these people. That's our job, to be a maximum service to God and around us. If we announce it, it's like religion, that we've gotten religion into private things, like leading with your chin. We lay ourselves open to be branded fanatics or religious bores. We may kill, and this is the thing, we may kill a future opportunity to carry a beneficial message. But he is willing to be more interested in demonstration, and this is on our part now, a direction of goodwill than in our conversation about spiritual discoveries. Any questions on that? And they tell you in your amends that we don't use this as an excuse for shying away from the subject of God. We want to give them the same thing that has saved and helped us. We want to give them the power of God. When it serves any good purpose, we must be willing to announce our convictions. Yes, I believe in God and I live by spiritual principles with tact and common sense. The question of how to approach the man we hated will arise. It may be has done us more harm than we have done him. But we may have acquired a better attitude towards him. We're still not too keen about admitting our faults. Nevertheless, with a person we dislike, that's why we're reading this, because this is so common. Yeah, I owed a guy an amends, but we take the bit in our teeth. It is harder to go to an enemy than a friend. We find it much more beneficial to us we go to him in a helpful, and this is every amends. We go to these people with a helpful, forgiving spirit, confessing our former ill feeling and expressing our regret. In every amend that you make, you are under no condition should you criticize such a person or argue with that person. Simply tell them that we will never get over our drinking. Now there's words. They give you direct words to use. And how to make them. I will never get over my drinking unless I have done the utmost to straighten out my past. Here's a direction. We're there to sweep off our side of the street, realizing that nothing worthwhile can accomplish until we do this. Trying to tell him what we should do. Nothing can be accomplished until we do so. Never trying to tell him what he should do. His faults are not discussed. We stick to our own. It is a matter of calm, frank, and open. We will be gratified with the results. Now, I know that seems like a lot, but that is the rock bed of what we're going to do in our amends. We're going to not go in there and tell them that we got God and I'm going to straighten this whole thing out and everything's going to be all fine. We're not going to bring up criticize the person or bring up their arguing with them or bring up their side of what they've done. We're not going to do that at all. Not going to do that at all. This is a very tough thing, especially, I tell you, with these crack addicts and these cocaine guys. If they got I don't mean one or two. I mean the whole general idea is that, man, if you were dumb enough to let me in your house, you know I'm going to steal some. Why should I make amends? I mean, sit down over here. Let's talk. Let's follow directions. That's right. Okay? Money. Arrange the best deal we can. The big thing is that we're trying to get over the fear of facing these people. Get over the fear. So we'll arrange the best deal that you can in playing these people back. Now, they have criminal offenses, they have divorce, they have slander, they have libel, they have a guy cheating on his old lady, got his old lady cheating on a guy, they got domestic problems, they call it, they got all kinds of things here. And as sponsors, you see, we can guide them and direct them through these pages. How many times have you gone to your sponsor and said, I got to do this, how should I do that? Well, let's see what this book says. See what this book says. I stole so much money, I can't. Let's see what the book says. Let's see what the book says. And that's the simplicity of the 9th step. It covers all the bases. Any questions on that? Any additions? Usually additions is the best part. It's the best part. Okay. 9th step. All done. All done. Now that sounds strange, doesn't it? To go through it that fast. But all we did was cover the rock beds. The foundation of what to walk in. Never point out their defects. Never point out where they were wrong. Never argue or criticize. Always walk in with trying to be helpful. Trying to be useful. Nothing, huh? It was too easy. You guys have been around too long. I love talking to the rookies. Yeah, but what about... Yeah. What about if they're dead? I like that one. What about if they're dead? Yeah. I mean, that's a common question. Well, my dad is dead. I've had some people I've heard this. I've never said it. Take your inventory and light it up on his grave. To write a letter and put it by the grave. Sit by the grave and make your amends. All I read here is this: are you willing to? Are you willing to? If they were here right now, would you? Yeah. Now, if you feel like going sitting on a grave and talking to him, I've done it to my dad. I sat down right there in Biloxi, Mississippi. Threw his ashes all over. And I come back 3 years later to lead a conference in Biloxi, right across the street from where I threw the ashes. And I just sat down with him. Me and him took a nap, as a matter of fact, right there in the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, took a little nap. Huh. All that is important is, are you willing? Would you do that if they were here? Okay. Step 9. This brings us to step 10. Step 10. Going into step 10. Squiggly writing on page 83. It says the spiritual life is not a theory. We have to live it. That is as much as direction as you can get a slap in the mouth. That's it. We have to live it. There may be some wrongs we may not fully right, but you don't have to worry about them if you can honestly say to yourself that we would right them if we could. That answers your question. We can't right these people. They're dead, but I would straighten it out if I could. We don't delay. If we can be avoided, we should be sensible, tactful, considerate, and humble without being servile or scraping. Okay. Let's go to 10, page 84. This thought brings us to step 10. Here's the directions for 10. Now, I'm going to read you something here that's not directions, but I just think it's just so important, so powerful. And step 10 suggests that we continue to take a personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along. We're going to continue to take a personal inventory and continue to straighten out the messes as we happen today. We vigorously commence this way of living as we cleaned up the past. We are vigorously going to commence this 10th, 11th, and 12th step as we clean up 9. So 9, 10, 11, and 12 go hand in hand. There's no stopping point here. There's no stopping point at 9. Do you know what I mean? Well, I can't do 10 yet. I haven't finished my 9th step. No. If you do your 5th step today, then you'll do your 10th step and 11th step tonight, because they all go hand in hand. They go right together. But I haven't finished my amends. That's true, and you might not for quite some time. But in the meantime, we're doing 10, 11, and 12. We're going to continue to set right any mistakes as we go along, and we vigorously commence this way of living as we do step 9, cleaned up the past. We've entered the Spirit. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. For step 10 now, ask for understanding. We're finally going to get understanding of what we are doing. Up until this time, it's been almost blind faith. I'll do this because this book says so. I'll do this because you say so. It's almost blind faith. Step 10 now, understanding and effectiveness starts to take place in our life. For we have entered the world of our spirits. Our next third function is going on. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime. How long do I have to do 10, 11, and 12? A lifetime. That's how long what? We are going to continue to watch. This is what we're going to do. This is your 10th step right now. I am going to continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. I am going to be on guard for these things. I'm going to watch for these things. When these things crop up, I am going to ask God to remove them at once. I'm going to discuss them with someone immediately. We just talked about that. I went through this. Bing, I know what to do. Bam, I followed the directions. Got it done. If I have harmed anyone, I'm going to make amends quickly. And when I'm going to resolutely turn my thoughts to someone we can help, I'm going to think now, instead of self-pity or anything else, I'm going to think, who can I help? Love and tolerance of others is our code. And we have ceased fighting anything or anyone. Watch this. We're going to continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. Where have we learned to identify these things? Fourth step. So, the procedure we learned in our 4th step, we're doing here in our 10th step. Right? Yes? No? Maybe. Okay. The best part about this, remember the manifestation business? We learned what they look like when we don't think they're fears. We learned what they look like when we don't think it's pride. The manifestations. We got it now. When these crop up, we ask God to remove them. What step have we asked God to remove our defects in? 7th step. So in essence, when we do a 10th step, we're doing a 4th step and a 7th step using those procedures, right? Right? We discussed them with someone immediately. Where have we learned to discuss our life with someone immediately? 5th step. So we're doing 4, 7, and 5 just in doing the 10th step, right? And make amends quickly. Where have we learned to do that? 9. So we're doing 4, 5, 7, and 9. If we have harmed anyone, then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. 12. So, in our 10th step alone, everything we have learned, we're putting into action right here in our 10th step. Right here. Absolutely. That's a dumb guy, ain't it? How many 4 steps should I do? I don't know. How many 10 steps do you do? None? Then do more 4s. Every day? Why do 4s? I mean, I'm not discouraging anybody from doing more 4th steps, you see. I'm not discouraging anybody from doing more 5th steps. I've never known anybody got drunk from doing too many 4th steps. I know people get drunk from doing not enough. None. But what we have here is that everything we've learned, if you ask me how much is 2 and 2? 4. Do I have to go 2 plus 2 equals 4 to get that? I learned that procedure a long time ago, didn't I? And that's what they're giving me here. I'm using the procedures that I struggled through, went through, suffered through, angered through, emotion through, all of that time. Now I'm just reaping the benefits, the harvest of what I went through. Does that make sense? It ain't even tough. Now the bad part is love and tolerance of everyone. Everyone. It's got to be my code. It's got to be my code. It's a direction. That's a direct direction. That's a direction. And then comes the real mean part. This ain't fair. We cease fighting anything or anyone. Even alcohol. Man, let me fight alcohol. Because these guys in the AA, I can't get along with. Let me get arguing with these guys, huh? Did you ever catch yourself in one of those contests? You ever catch yourself in one of those? I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. You're wrong, I'm right. I'm telling you, I'm wrong. I'd rather be right than useful. No. We'd rather be useful than right. And we already got the solution for this, don't we? I mean, it was so wonderful. That, bless you, in that fourth step, that they say we're going to look at them as sick people. How can we be useful to them? And I told you the key in how to avoid argument retaliation. You could be right. The argument's over. Could be right. You win. I quit. Simple as that. Is that what you want? You got it. I have no problem with that. And with that thought in mind, our dependence upon the power of God, and this 10th step increases and increases and increases and increases, and it never ceases to end. I just think this 10th and 11th step is like magic. It's like magic. And even if you do get in the sling, you have a way out, because everybody makes mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Now, we've already read these promises, yes, in 9. I mean, we didn't read them here, but you've read them. Well, you're not going to be afraid of the past. No, we should close the door on it. We're going to comprehend the words. So all that's the promises. They commonly refer to as the promises. Yes? No. Do they have them in Boston? Yes? Okay. Do you do? Okay. Now, here's what you get. Here's what you get if you've worked these steps. And if you wait a year, or 2 years, or 6 years, then that's how long you wait before you get this. And this is the big deal. We will seldom be interested in liquor. If tempted, and liquor's our problem, isn't it? I mean, it's like, that's everything at this point. We know that there's other things to that. If tempted, we will react sanely and normally. Wouldn't you like to get that in your first 3 weeks? Wouldn't you like to act sanely and normally to alcohol? You want a drink? And we will find that this happens automatically. This happens automatically if we follow directions. We will see that our new attitude towards liquor has been given. No directions here. You understand that? This is the rewards. This is the results. We will see that our new attitude toward liquor will have been given us without any thought or effort on our part. What thought or effort are we putting forward to? Straighten out the past, make any amends, getting close to God, saying our prayers, being on guard. That's the thought and effort we put in. The results is this. That we've been given this without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. That is the miracle of it. And if you work these steps, you get that miracle of it. You get that miracle of it. We are not fighting, neither are we avoiding temptation. We feel as though we've been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We've not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. Removed. How many times have you pondered this question? I wonder why that guy made it, who's an absolute dummy, troublemaker, offensive, rude. Do they have any of them in California? Who is ignorant, give me some more words. Noxious, obnoxious, arrogant. No, don't describe me. Just, huh? Egotistical. I hate that guy. He cheats on his wife. That guy. Stealing from the company. That guy. How can that guy stay sober? Just read it. To the best that he can do. Not the best that we can see. The struggle for that man, as the struggle for us, has always been on the inside. And I never knew that it was a problem. Have you ever said that to yourself? Whoa, I've been doing this all my life. Never knew people were mad because I did it. Huh? Never knew that. That filthy mouth of mine, I could walk in a room, hey, what the... Already 4 people don't like me. I don't know why they don't like me. I'm such a funny guy. I don't get it. And I could never see that vulgarity was causing so much trouble in that room. Do you understand that? Sure you understand that. And I could stay sober simply because I did this. I am ready at any time. I am ready at any time to change anything that stands in my way between myself, my God, and service to you. Remember what we talked about with your wife when she just left? About being patient and long understanding and suffering with these new men? That's our growth. That's our growth. I was talking to Tony, to Anthony. She said, I got this problem and I want to look at it and I want to do it. What more could you ask out of any human being? It's I got a problem and I want to stop and I want to change. What more could you ask? What more could you ask? They'd be perfect on our schedule? Okay. Directions. Step 11. Any questions on 10?
How about step 3?
Step 3.
Where did you find that there?
Oh, we're going to get there. It's very good. Sometimes it's good working with guys who've been sober a while. Step 3. We're going to do step 3. Step 3. We're going to see step 3 in action later on. Okay. We are not cured of alcoholism. Not a direction. We're not cured of alcoholism. What we have is a daily reprieve contingent upon the maintenance of our spiritual condition. And really, if you have a spiritual condition and you maintain it, then you will have that daily reprieve. Here's what it says. This is a direction. Every day is a day. We must carry the vision of God into all of our activities. How can I best serve thee? Thy will be done, not mine. Thy will be done, not mine. What step is that? 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, and 12. Just in the 10th step. Do you see that? Simple as that. All the procedures that we learned. Okay, let's go to step 11. It says this, we shouldn't be shy about the matter of prayer. And then let's go over to page 86. Now it says when we retire at night. When we retire at night. When do we do the 11th step? Okay, as long as we got that. As long as we got that, as long as you understand that if you ever don't go to bed for a couple of years, then you don't have to ever do 11 step. Okay? Good. How often do I have to do 11 step?
When you go to bed.
No, don't give me the answer. No. You're playing the wrong role. You're supposed to say, hey, big boy, how often do I do this 11 step?
How often do I do the 11th step?
Every time you retire at night. If you don't retire at night for a few years, you don't have to. See, that's the humor of it. Okay? Because that's what they ask, ain't it? Is what these new guys ask? That's what they ask. So, when you retire at night, here's what you're going to do. You are going to constructively review your day. This is what you're going to do. You're just going to review your day. If you want to use a pencil and a paper, I don't care. Does it say to use a pencil and paper? No. We're going to in our minds. Why? Why can we do this in our minds, guys? Why can we do this in our minds, Melly? Ask that question. Because we have cleared up so much wreckage of the past that there is room now for us to look at the present.
Right.
Oh, that's too dumb. Oh, yeah, it is. That's the whole thing is just that dumb. That's exactly right. That's why. We want to know, we're going to review our day, we want to know where we had been resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid. We are going to ask ourselves that question. Was I resentful today? Do you know that there are times that really, and I'm not lying, that I spend days thinking more of others than I think of myself? I know you find that hard to believe, but that's just true. It just gets to be feeling so damn good that I just do it without even thinking about it. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? We answer those questions. Those are just questions. Yes, yes, no, yes. No, yes. Yes, no. I'm not sure. Do you owe an apology? Do you owe an apology? Do you owe an apology? I was sitting in the hot tub with Walter, and Walter said, "Bing, bang, boom." And I said, "Why don't you go ask somebody else to do that? Because I don't want to do that. Don't talk to me about that." And I got out of the hot tub. And the next day I went over and I said, "I'm very sorry. Very sorry. I shouldn't have said that. See, but I found that here, you see. I found that here. This is where I found it. This is not where I was told to do it. This is where I found it. Do I owe an apology? If we kept something to ourselves which we should be discussed with another person at once. What do we know about secrets? What? Tell me what we know.
We're sick of their secrets.
I like that. I like that. We're sick of their secrets. That's one way of putting it. The other one is this. Is there something we should have told this another person at once? That's the heart of the big book, okay? That's all. They're asking you. They're not telling you to do anything about this, you see? We're just looking at should I, would I, do I have to. There it is. Is there something I should have talked, discussed with another person? Were we kind of loving towards all? Yes, no, yes, yes, yes. Kids? Oh, those kids are a tough one, ain't it? Oh, it's a tough one. There's a tough one for a parent, ain't it? Ain't that a tough one for a parent? I know I should be their parent, and I should be guiding them, and I have to direct them, and I have to, sometimes I have to, because they don't, and I gotta, and if I give, and then only you have the answer. Only you have the answer. Sigmund Freud and that other guy, if you want to use them, that's fine, but only you know in your heart, in your inventory, in your review, whether you did something wrong or not. Whether you did something wrong or not. My kids were raised, I mean, I can't recall spanking my kids hardly ever. Hardly ever. I told my son that a few months ago. I said, "You know, Milty, you were one of the best kids. I never had to spank you." And my son said, "I'm still to this day afraid to sit down from all the beatings you gave me." See, he's been raised funny too. Still to this day afraid to sit down. he was just my whole kids. Well, all my kids were raised funny. Not all of them got funny, but they were all raised funny. So I got to ask myself, you got to ask yourself this question on your day. Was I kind and loving to all? What could I have done better? Who gives you the answer? You give yourself the answer to this. This is an intelligent look at your day. Were we thinking of others? Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time, or were we thinking of what we could do for others? Simple question is that. There's nothing more than questions. We haven't even gotten answers, or what we should do with the answers yet, or what we think we do for others, or what we could pack into the stream of life. But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. And our whole function on earth as members of Alcoholics Anonymous, once again is reaffirmed, is to serve others. Serve others. We made the deal in Step 3. We reinforced it constantly throughout Step 9. We got to help others. Be careful how we make amends so that we can be useful even in making amends. After making our review, this is what we do at the end of the night. At the end of the night, I make my review, and here's what I say. God forgive me. God forgive me. And what can I do to straighten this out? God, now, I always add more to my prayer life than that. Okay? I mean, I used to get very dramatic in my prayer life. Not for you dramatic, because you wasn't there. I mean, I would get into this shit. I'd kneel on a rope to atone for my sins in pain. Oh, that's funny. It's a Boston trick. So, I just kidding. I mean, I would read, but you know what? It's so simple. I was making a big deal out of it. I mean, I was making more out of it than it didn't need to be. But I misunderstood something somebody said, Sister Ignatia and all of that stuff, so I was kneeling on rope. What's the best part about it all? I was trying. That's exactly right. I was always trying. And I ain't done. I ain't done trying. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. Now we've finished half of our 11th step, and that is when we go to bed. If you do not, really, and I'm not being a funny guy, if you do not wake up, you do not have to do this part of the 11th step. Like if, that's it. Yeah, you're done. No more steps. Here's what it says on awakening. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. Now, all we did was wake up. All we did. I wake up my roommate every day. A lazy son of a guy. And the first question he asks, before he even says good morning, hello, is what did I do wrong? Love this guy. What did I do wrong? Hey, you got to ask yourself that. We consider our plans for the day. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking. Okay, now I have got plans for today. What plans do I have? 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 Watch this. Inquire what corrective measures should be taken. What plans do I have? I've laid my plans from last night for this morning, ain't it? What should I do? I should give that guy a cup of coffee. I should have paid the guy for getting me pop. I should have said I was sorry to my kids. I should have given him a kiss goodnight instead of get back to bed. I should have. And that's our plans for the day, ain't it? Some of our plans. There's always more plans. But we've already got plans laid over from yesterday. We're carrying into today. We consider our plans for today. We got them laid, some of them laid over from yesterday. Before we begin, now we're not even out of the house yet. We're still thinking about our day. We're going to ask God to direct our thinking, especially that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. This is a specific direction for our thinking. For our thinking. We're asking God to control, to guide, to set a course for our thinking. God, in my thinking, I'm planning my day, direct my thinking, divorce it from, and we all understand divorce, maybe not you, but to a lot of us other ones understand divorce. Direct our thinking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. That means divorce. Boom. Done. Over with. Get rid of self-pity, dishonest, self-seeking motives. That's what we're asking God to do. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with insurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use. I love when I hear a sponsor, and I heard a lot. Don't think. I'll do your thinking for you. Really? Hell, maybe this 11 step should be changed. My sponsor gave me brains and said I shouldn't use them. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is clear of wrong motives. So the wrong motives that we have in our lives are very simple. Self-pity, dishonest, and self-seeking. Get rid of these motives. And this is in planning our day. You understand that? We haven't left the house. There's no writing here. This is a simple, and for me I have to read this because I get it confused sometimes. God divorced me from jealousy. No, that doesn't say. I knew that. Let me look into this book now and see what it says. Okay, the wrong motives. So now that we've asked God to clear our wrong motives away, this is a simple matter of split seconds, isn't it? Isn't this a simple matter of split seconds? We're not talking about a long, drawn-out morning. I think thinking about a day we may face indecision. Now, maybe you don't face indecision in thinking about your day. But if you do, this paragraph is here for you. Do you understand that? Covers the bases. So I got to do this. I'll go ahead and go do that. That's all there is to it. Well, I don't know what I should do. So if you face indecision, here's what it says. You may not be able to determine which course to take. Here we ask God for an inspiration, an intuitive thought, or a decision. We relax and take it easy. I'm sitting in my big chair, and I just relax and take it easy. What do you want me to do with this thing here? I really don't want me to apologize to a 6-year-old kid. I mean, you can't mean that. Okay. Simple as that. Simple as that. After we've tried this for a while, we used to be hunch occasions, no directions here, so we're not going to read them. Next direction. Step 11 still. We usually conclude the period of meditation. So in thinking about our day, asking to be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, self-seeking motives, that is meditation. If you want to get your legs around your neck, if you want to kneel on rope, I don't care. It's not my business. If you want to sit out in the park or sit in Palos Verdes, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. This is foundation stuff, basic stuff. You always add on top of this. Ain't that what we read? We usually conclude a prayer meditation with, show me all through the day what my next step is to be. This is my prayer to God. This is a prayer I pray every morning. God, guide me through this day. Show me what my next step is to be. Give me whatever I need to take care of such problems. And I hammer this one in. Bam! Bam! Please get rid of this self-will. Please get rid of this self-will. That's what it says right in this book. And boy, they know me. They knew I was coming when they wrote this book. We are careful never to pray for our own selfish ends. Tired of taking a bus. God, give me a car. That's simple as that. I'm tired of taking a bus. God, give me a car. Many of us, yeah. We're careful to make no requests for our own selves only. We may ask for ourselves, however, if others will be helped. I'm tired of taking a bus. God, give me a car, and I'll take drunks to meetings every night. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Same prayer. What's different? The motive and the intention on our part in it. It's the only thing that's different. We're careful never. Many of us have wasted a lot of time doing that, and it doesn't work. We can easily see why, and I really didn't see why for a long time. The circumstances warrant, we ask our wives or friends to join us in morning meditation. Morning meditation. Me and my roommate got up yesterday, read the books. He read his, I read mine, I read his, he read mine. Just read back and forth. Sat and talked and discussed what we have read. Where you can call that fellowship, bonding, you can call that pals, you can call it anything you want, but really it's nothing more than directions that are in this book. Following directions, the rewards are so great. If we belong to a religious denomination that requires a definite morning devotion, we attend to that also. Maybe you don't. This don't apply to you. Maybe it'll apply to somebody's sponsor. If not members of a religious body, we sometimes select and memorize a few such short prayers that emphasize the principle we've been discussing. What principles have we been discussing? See how easy? Honesty, unselfishness, responsibility, love and tolerance, avoiding argument and retaliation. That's the principles we've been discussing. There are many helpful books also. These books, me and my roommate was reading these books. Suggested these may be obtained from a priest, minister, rabbi. I got a book from each one of them. I got a heathen book, communist book, Nazi book, AA book, and what's that place up in Minnesota? Hazelnut. So I keep up with what they're blowing up these people's ass. I keep on top of everything here as best I can. Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not used to working with such nice people. But I want to know what the competition is doing. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Now here's more directions. That maybe don't apply to you. Maybe you live alone. Maybe you don't have anybody. Maybe when you wake up, she's sleeping. Maybe when you follow what I'm trying to say? But if it does apply, then use this. Do you know how hard it is? Do you have any idea, Walter, how hard it is to look at the woman you love and say, can I really ask her to pray with me? Can I really ask her every morning to read the books and hold hands or whatever it is? The answer is... What's the answer, Walter? Because you're getting ready to be married. You better know the answer. Kathy, what's that? Well, there it is. Go shopping, honey. I'm going to pray. It's very difficult. Why would that be? We share some of the most intimate moments with a woman. We do things with a woman we would never even think about doing anywhere else, with anybody else, and feelings, loving babies. I don't care what it is. You swap and spit. I mean, I wouldn't give spit to my kids. I'd give it to a woman. It's a joke. Well, it's not a joke. It's humorous. It's true. It's funny, but it's true. Okay? And then I would not say, I'm sorry, I can't ask her to pray with me. I can't. No. I'm just telling you what the book says, right? I'm not telling you what to do. Don't quote me. I'm just reading the big book. All right, Make use of what they offer. As we go through the day, we pause when agitated. Now watch this. We have been aware of the 10th step, and the doing of the 10th step is nothing more than information, isn't it? Telling us what to do. When we're wrong, problem is do whatever we got to do. We have to think of someone other than ourselves. Now we're going to bring 10 and 11 into a full circle. We're going to bring 10 and 11 into full circle. As we go through our day, we pause when agitated or doubtful. Agitated or doubtful. Does anybody get agitated or doubtful? Everybody gets agitated or doubtful. Everybody gets agitated or doubtful. I was talking to, who was I talking to today? He was so mad because they turned the yogurt with the label facing the back so that he couldn't. Who was it? But really? Yeah, he said it just gets me when you can't see what kind of yogurt it is, and someone turned all the containers so you couldn't see the label. And I said, I have the same experience. When I come down, I was so mad because all the labels were facing me, I turned them around. You okay? Pammy and I were talking the other day about it's so much fun to have a life that you don't place yourself in a position to be hurt. I don't want to do this, so I won't. And if you talk me into it, I'm going to end up disliking you. And I don't want to be into that. And even worse, I'll end up disliking me. So I'm going to pause when I get agitated or doubtful, and I'm going to ask for the right thought or action. I'm going to ask God, what should I do here? What should I do here? I got in an argument one time with a guy. Blah, 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 blah. I said, that ain't true. Blah, 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 blah. I said, that ain't true. Blah, blah, blah. I said, you wait right here. And I went in the bathroom. Knelt down. I said, what do you want me to do with this asshole? Knelt down. No, right down in the shit. I'm on tape here. Went right down there, knelt down, and said, what do you want me to do with this guy? Bam! The answer come. I remember one time sitting in a restaurant, I said, I got this problem. He says, you ain't even listening to me. I said, yes, I am. I'm asking God what kind of solution I could give you, because I don't know what to say to you. I don't want to give you advice. See, I don't like to give advice. It's not my favorite thing. So when I get agitated or doubtful, I ask for the right thought or action. What I should do, whatever it is, doesn't even matter. But what's our part in this? Identifying when we're agitated or doubtful. And knowing we can't solve the problem and asking God to do this. This is a process we've learned all along. We constantly remind ourselves we are no longer running the show. Humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, thy will be done. Thy will be done. Next set of directions on 88 is we let God discipline us in a simple way outlined. Any questions? That's your 11th step. That's your 11th step. 10th and 11th step. Yes?
I see the difference with having the prayer and meditation in the 11th, but it seems to me that they're so similar, 10 and 11, like taking the inventory part. It seems like in 10, that's what you're doing too. You know, you're setting right things as you go along through the day. If you were doing that all day long, why at 11? You know, it seems like then 11 you're doing the same thing.
Yes.
It seems like you're doing it all day. If you did it all day at 10, it seems like it should be cleaned up if you've taken care of that.
Yes. Yeah, she's absolutely right. She's absolutely right. What's the problem? We're not perfect. We're just human beings. You're absolutely right. You are so right, it's unbelievable. That's what I like working about with people who've been around. You're absolutely right. All of this is true. And what they take into consideration is that we're just human beings. They give us a direction, and then in the 11th step we ask God for power, direction, and guidance on our own intent. On our own intent, I want this, I want to be right, the right motive, right there. And then in 11, we're asking God to give us. Divorce me from self-will. God, give me this. God, give me that. Yeah, but hold on. Wait, I don't want to leave anybody hanging. Did that answer your question?
Sort of.
Okay, tell me what part I missed, because I don't want anybody hanging out in the cold.
Well, I don't know. It just seems that it keeps repeating.
It does. It does.
You know, and
it does.
I can see that you're going to need to keep doing this stuff and always, you know, want to be anytime you would do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is so sweet, the deal we have in Alcoholics Anonymous. It's unbelievable. It is so sweet. So sweet. Yeah.
Going through the day, when living life in the heat of the battle, I get by it. When I do my reflection at the end of the day, it's the time when I'm not part of the process, where I can go back and a little bit less emotionally or in a calmer thing.
Truly.
Go back and see, what didn't I do?
Truly.
Clean it all up so you don't carry it over the next day.
Absolutely. See, 10 step.
Process. Maybe you
10 step, here's what I want to do. 11 step, here's what I didn't do. 11 step, here's what I got to do to clean up what I didn't do yesterday. It's identification and solution. It's identification and solution. 4 step, the house is dirty. I know it's got to be cleaned. I clean it all up, get it all cleaned up, shiny, shiny. Step 10. Step 10. I can't even tell the story. I'm sorry. It's so funny, but the company's mixed. Okay. The house is dirty. Good. Good. You had your hand up.